if you're hiking in the Needles portion of Canyonlands, I highly recommend heading back towards Elephant Canyon and getting a little lost back there. We had the privilege to hike a trail out and back through Elephant Canyon to reach Druid Arch, and it was one of the neatest hikes I've ever been on. The neat thing about this hike is it's so diverse. You hike along slick rock, you hike in sands, you hike and scramble up rock surfaces, you bushwhack a little bit, and that just makes a very interesting, diverse hiking experience. The sign that's in front of the trailhead says that it's about an 11-mile hike. I would say once you kind of get lost in the canyon, you will end up going about 13 miles. It's about 5.5 miles out, 5.5 miles back. Be prepared to take plenty of water and a lunch or a snack, depending on how quickly you can hike 13 miles. You get treated at the end of this hike with a beautiful view of one of the most unique arches I've ever seen in the Southwest. And what's really neat about this arch is it kind of looks like a keyhole, which I haven't seen a whole ton that look like this, with a really fat side, a super skinny side on one end, and then the shape that it makes. It's kind of an interesting fracture that it's taken. The last part of this hike, you're gonna really need to want to get there. You know, you're hiking across pretty mild to moderate terrain for the majority of the hike, and then the last half mile, or between the last half mile to a mile, you really start hiking through deeper sands, and then you start your scramble up to this really amazing, wonderful arch that you're gonna see at the end of this hike. I will admit that the last 500 to 750 feet of this hike was pretty difficult. And I like to think of myself as a pretty frequent hiker in pretty good hiking shape. And there's a lot of scrambling if you have weak knees, weak hips. Getting up you might be able to do, but getting back down will be a struggle for you. It's really fun though, and totally worth the amazing view you're gonna see. If you are interested in backpacking into this canyon, there are a few potential campgrounds that you can take. Just make sure that you check in at the visitor center and get an overnight permit for those. Unfortunately, we were only in the area for one night, and we weren't prepared to backpack into the area. And so we didn't end up doing that. So I can't recommend any of those campsites over any of the other ones. But I can say that when we were on this hike, there were a lot of people coming back out in the morning when we were heading in who had obviously been backpacking in the area. And so it's probably a pretty popular place to backpack. I read on the brochure that water is available seasonally, so just make sure to check with the park rangers before you head out there. Make sure you have plenty of water when you head into the backcountry. Man, I need a haircut. Jeez Louise.